All right, today we're jumping into the launch of a company that's making some of the boldest claims we have ever seen. It's called Soul Dragon, and its mission is to merge technology with metaphysics to, as they say, unlock the next chapter of humanity. So what on earth does that actually mean? Let's get into it.
So right off the bat, Soul Dragon sets a pretty epic stage. They're framing their work not just as some new product, but as the next logical step in this long human journey of turning the impossible into reality. Okay, so where does this huge story even begin? Well, it's not in some dusty history book. It's happening right here, right now. Soul Dragon calls this moment New Earth, and their whole premise is built on what technology is doing to us today.
And here's the core idea. Artificial intelligence has totally changed the game. They say it's given us abilities that are basically magical, turning us into digital wizards and witches. And, with that kind of power, well, that comes with a whole new set of challenges for all of us.
And Soul Dragon's point is that this isn't just some small software update for humanity. No, this is a major turning point. They argue that as AI starts to handle all the work and productivity, we're all kind of being forced to stop and ask ourselves a much bigger question. What's our purpose now?
So, if we're all standing at this huge crossroads, what path is Soul Dragon pointing us down? Well, that brings us right to their core mission, something they call the Soul Evolution.
And this is what they call themselves. Now, a really key part of their strategy is to rebrand what most people would call spirituality. They're using the more academic-sounding term metaphysics. The idea is to make these concepts feel more approachable, more scientific, and reach a much wider audience.
At the very heart of their mission is a really provocative claim that spiritual knowledge and what they call our innate psychic abilities haven't just been lost to time. They've been intentionally hidden away by powerful gatekeepers. So their goal? Tear down those gates, and in their place, build a whole new industry based on the soul, one they believe AI can't even touch.
All right, now this is where things get really interesting. To even begin to understand their tech, you first have to get your head around their worldview, and it's all built on this model of reality that's made up of 6 separate dimensions.
And what's so smart about this is how they explain it all. They use this fantastic analogy. Just think of life as a video game. Seriously, this one metaphor is the key to unlocking their entire way of thinking.
Okay, let's break this down. The third dimension? That's easy. It's the physical world around us, the game world itself. Then you've got the fourth, which is kind of like the game's rule book. We access it through things like books and the internet. The fifth dimension is the astral realm. The world of dreams, fantasy, imagination, which you can tap into through meditation or just sleep. And finally, you get to the sixth dimension. This is the big one. They call it codexial reality. Think of it as the game's actual source code, the programming language of the entire universe.
Okay, so now that we have this 6-dimensional map of reality, how do they actually plan to, navigate it? This is where we get into their actual technology and the new fields of science they're trying to pioneer.
First up is a word they've coined, astrability. They're defining this as a whole new way to navigate that 5th dimension we just talked about, the astral realm. But get this, they don't just see it as some spiritual practice. The goal is for it to become a full-blown, peer-reviewed scientific field.
And their second big idea is just as wild. It's called quantum identity. This is the theory that stars, planets, celestial objects are directly influencing our bodies through something they call a soul algorithm that's supposedly stored right in our DNA.
And look, they want you to know this isn't just some idea they dreamed up last week. They're saying they have poured over 18,000 hours of research and development into trying to unlock all of this.
And a huge piece of the puzzle for them is being open about it. They're planning to create this massive open-source data library, this big soul data library, to put their findings out there for everyone, and hopefully kickstart a wave of new scientific breakthroughs.
All right, let's just take a step back and look at the sheer scale of what they're proposing here. Because this isn't just about a new startup. This is about building an entirely new future.
Yeah, so thinking small is definitely not in their vocabulary. They're literally predicting that this whole soul evolution thing will become a $1 trillion industry. $1 trillion! And that it'll create millions of jobs that we can't even imagine yet. And just to be super clear, their vision goes way beyond just making money. I mean, look at these promises. They're talking about demystifying consciousness, making the soul a recognized thing in academia, and then, just casually rewriting the laws of physics. No big deal.
But after all that, all the grand cosmic ambition, the founder brings it right back down to earth. He ends the whole thing on this really personal, heartfelt note. It's a reminder that behind this massive vision is a simple human motivation: hope.
So where does that leave us? It really all comes down to this one big question, doesn't it? Soul Dragon has laid out this incredibly detailed, bold vision for our future. So, are we looking at the actual blueprint for humanity's next chapter? Or are we witnessing the birth of a brand new, powerful mythology for our digital age? What do you think?